Hello, my human family. I'm glad to see you as always. Um, Today I've got one of the special people on YouTube, or at least someone I've been a fan of since the beginning. I seem to say that a lot, but there are a lot of people I've been fans of since the beginning. uh, he has a cranium, as do most of us, and in his cranium, apparently, it is godless, and so he named himself that. It is Godless Cranium. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you on. I was I was actually surprised you said yes. I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I normally say yes to people that I watch or that I'm fans of if they ask.
Well, thank you. I always, yeah. As you, if you've seen my other stuff, you know, as soon as someone gives me a compliment, I immediately start stuttering and backing off. So, the usual question here at the very beginning is, who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so Godless Cranium, Mike, and I have a YouTube channel called Godless Cranium where I talk about atheism, skepticism, but I've kind of started to diverge from that, and I'm trying out different other kinds of content, such as why beliefs matter, which is all about supernatural beliefs and how they affected people in the past and in the present. And also, I'm currently working on a series that's going to be taking a look at fascism and how it manifested itself largely in the U.S., but I do plan on doing a little bit in Canada and stuff because I think it really needs to be talked about, especially how it has so many. I don't know what the right word is. Parallels with today, I
Parallels.
guess.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm currently working on that. I'm working on my second video in that series right now, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
That one's going. Cirrus is doing the modern stuff. You're doing the historical stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing more of the historical stuff. I do have flashes of the present in it if I want to kind of convey that there's a connection, like I did in my last one, where the white supremacist was holding up the paper saying, "Close the border." There's Mexican hordes trying to
Yeah,
break in from
I
19.
did.
It was from 1977. But
That
yeah,
I
it's
didn't notice, but I did notice there's a wall reference right here.
yeah. So there's going to be flashes of that. Also, with in my next one, I'm talking about how fascists use the media to spread their message, and so I'm going to have a section in there about probably about YouTube and some of the other mainstream things that kind of spread that fascist message. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're fascists. It might be that they are doing it without knowing what they're doing, but they're still doing it. So
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of useful idiots going about.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not, as agreed before. We're not going to talk about specific people. But
No.
as soon as I thought it's a useful idiot, one particular name came to mind. Uh,
Well, there's a lot of them that kind of use the same talking points as especially Nazi propagandists used back in the day. But I don't think they know that they're doing it. A lot of
yeah,
times they're just doing it because it's what's popular right now. But once you start like really delving into the history of it, which I've been doing, uh, there is so many like things where I've been reading and while doing the research and been like, holy crap, like I heard somebody say that, here and here and here. It's pretty crazy.
it's a goes around comes around. I've said before that my stepfather was actual Nazi. He was. When I say Hitler Youth, it's a little tricky because um, now that you put up a little bit about the Bundes, he was Hitler Youth in the Bundes. So
Mhm.
just to So I'm really used to, I grew up with a lot of actual Nazi talking points. So when I see them again, they're pretty clear.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I bet.
the it's and I'm seeing them way too much in politics lately.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Well, the Boondwer, I use it as the first one because I think it's the most shocking of them. Like,
yeah.
especially in Madison Square Garden. But overall, actually, they weren't the most dangerous of the fascists back then. So,
Oh no.
uh,
One of the just to keep on that, one of the odder pieces of video I ever saw was when the Hindenburg crashed and they had the funeral um, in New Jersey. I think it was New Jersey. And as people were walking past the people were walking past the caskets, they were given the Hitler salute, and it's like, people do not know this is stuff that happened. It's just very, I mean, I knew the Madison Square Garden one before, but I mean, simpler stuff like that is the one where you just don't know what happened.
well, they did the same tactics back then, which is what my new video is going to be about. Like, for example, they would talk about bankers or kind of like globalists, but it's the same talking point as they use now with globalists and thing, which is just another way of saying Jew. um,
Yeah.
so
The one of the problems, I mean, I'm DemSoc from way back, but you know, we were called dirty commies back in the early 80s. The one I sometimes cringe at the talking points on my side, because they start to get a little too close to territory, but it's almost impossible to tell people that.
what's an example?
Some of the eat the rich things that we do over on, I mean, it's eat the rich is a joke. They're way too sinewy. But I see, well, it's the global elite bankers that want you to, and I go, no, stop there, just stop, do not be doing.
Yeah.
So I've never really been sure why.
Well, I'm definitely not a fan of uber rich people. I think it's unethical to be a billionaire. But yeah, I wouldn't say, I don't like when people say stuff like, eat the rich, I know is a joke, but I've seen like people say, kill them and stuff like that. So, and I'm not sure they're joking. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that stuff.
No, so some of the kill the landlord stuff is joking, some of it isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
Dead Kennedys, when they said kill the landlords, they were joking, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
Sorry, old punk reference. That's my youth. That's
right.
how I became DemSoc way back when. It's the old punkers. I've noticed, one of the things I did notice when I was going back through your videos is the that you kind of took a turn toward the political about a year ago. What prompted that? I mean, all yours, the way you used atheism and response videos and stuff like that was political, but you've gone more overtly political in the last year or so.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that brought it on, or you just wanted to go somewhere new and you thought you needed to talk?
Probably a little bit of everything. Like I think the first thing that I noticed was that so like when I first started YouTube, I couldn't wait to get out videos. So like I would think about them while I was working or or whatever. And I lost that. And I don't, it's going to sound stupid, but it's kind of like I lost it, but I lost it in a slow way so that I didn't realize that I'd lost it like when it happened. And then I took a hiatus from it was when my channel got demonetized, I think.
Yeah.
It kind of made me just mad. So I just, I kind of took a step away from YouTube. And then I realized when I came back, I started putting out the supernatural ones. And I realized I really liked making those. And I got back some of that passion that I had before when I used to do atheist videos. But I also noticed that a lot of my audience were anti-trans and stuff like that. And I started to I guess I kind of blamed myself for that because I hadn't done enough to make it so that didn't happen. And so I started to wonder, like, what was I doing that was attracting people like that? Or like, because I thought that I've always talked about LGBT issues. So I thought that I'd put enough of that into my videos that it would have deterred people like that from coming to my channel, but apparently that isn't the case. So I started to kind of like take a look at, and I still am taking a look at my content and saying, what can I do differently that will change that from happening? And one of the things is response videos. I think response videos kind of draw that kind of person to you because they're looking for the conflict between two creators, and that's exciting. And I get why people like it. I like them too. But
Oh, yeah.
I think if you do that all the time, like if that's all you do, I think maybe that brings that kind of person, like those toxic people to your channel, no matter what your channel's about. So I decided, there's times where you have to do a response video, and I think that's fine. I'm not saying all response videos are bad or anything, but I definitely want to make it so that I do more video essays and less response videos. And then every once in a while I'll do a response video, but I think that's it. And I also think that just atheist content in general, a lot of times it's more about confirming somebody's beliefs than it is about exploring a belief structure or exploring new things, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
I fell into the interviewing things. This was supposed to be just, once a month thing. And I found out this is the part of it I enjoyed. I did not like trying to script the videos. There's a response video or two in the can that no one will ever see.
Right.
Even though I'm not ashamed of them. They were perfectly fine. I'm just like, this is not where I want to be going.
Right. Yeah. Well, you figured it out faster than I did.
Well, I figured that out because a lot of the rest of you did first. Is what it is. I mean, I've noticed response videos can get you big fast, but it can also take away from whatever you're trying to do for yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. And I think that at least for me, I hate saying, like, I hate being that one that's like, well, I don't care about the numbers or whatever, because I think that's, whenever a YouTuber says that, they're probably lying.
Yes.
I do care a little bit, but it's not like I don't want it to be my obsession, right? Like, I don't want that to be the driving motivator towards me. Now, if it's part of the motivation, that's fine, but I don't want it to be the overriding thing that's motivating me. What I really like is like for example, like these the fascist videos. I knew when I started them that they wouldn't get nearly as many views as my regular content. Same with the supernatural ones, but I've enjoyed them more because I've learned a lot, and I'm still continuing to learn a lot about history and about the current political state in the world. And for me, that's what I want my motivating factor to be. Rather like, and I felt like with the atheism, I'd said most of what I needed to say, and I don't feel like there's any new ground there that I need to cover, or like ground that I need to think about, not necessarily new ground, but ground that I haven't already thought about. So I just think that it was time for me to like kind of move on from there. Now, that doesn't mean that I would never do another video like that. There might be times in between where I respond to something like that, but I think the main thrust of my channel now is going to be, like, moving forward is going to be more about beliefs, how they affect people, how, like, the political, and more about humanism, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's the one place that seems grotesquely underserved in our community, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
In even the try again. Sean, I'll give someone to praise. I mean, Sean comes out with these intensely, fantastic videos that are researched to the maximum and is actually trying to discuss the humanism and the bad, some of the bad stuff that happens within our movement, which, good for him. I just wish we knew when they were coming out. They just sort of plopped down all of a sudden from
Yeah. But I think that there's been, like, a huge and I don't think this is, like, necessarily the current crop of secular YouTubers. It's more the old guard has kind of poisoned that community into being anti-feminist, anti-trans, anything that's progressive is seen as being an SJW cuck, all that stuff. And so now a large portion of that audience base that kind of, like, watches atheist content or used to watch atheist content, and still seeks that content out, thinks like that. And so now whenever you talk about, I don't know how many comments I get a lot now about, like, I had one today that was like, oh, you used to buck the trends, right? So, but now you're going with the trend. And I'm like, what trend? Believe me, talking about, like, wealth inequality and fascism, and pointing out how the parallels between old-time Nazis and the current Trump administration is not a trend. It's not something that's popular. Talking about atheism and telling you, yeah, you're right, all the time. Yeah, you're right. There's no God. Yeah, you're right. That is way more popular. And
I mean, you could just do responses to "Girls Are Fine" forever, and that would probably get you lots of clicks. I can't see how that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think girl defined and people like girl defined, there is room there to, like, they need to be criticized. I just don't want to be the one that's doing it right now. I think there's bigger fish to fry as far as like, for example, you have the Attorney General talking about maybe the cops don't protect you if you don't praise them enough, that kind of thing. So, I mean, that to me is way more worrying than what Girl Defined thinks about, feminism or whatever. So,
yes, William Barr. I saw that yesterday during one of my short lucid periods.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is probably a nightmare. I should probably go back to sleep.
Well, it was only like a few weeks ago, I think, that he made a theocratic speech as well. So, I mean, everywhere he goes, he just spreads dumbassery. So, I mean, I think there's way more problems there, as well as I think that wealth inequality is a huge issue. And anything that's kind of related with that, I think that's part of the problem, because it kind of lends itself to the other things. So if you're angry because you can't make your car payments and your rent payments and stuff, then you're easier fodder for people that push fascism.
Well, I know just on the subject, it was President Trump keeps talking about how African American employment is up, and it's not as up as it is for white people. And he does not talk about how unemployment in LGBTQ has plummeted.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I haven't looked at those numbers, so I can't really.
no.
But yeah, if you say so, I wouldn't. I see no reason to think that that wouldn't be the case. I mean, he pushes anti-trans talking points constantly. So
Yeah. No. Something else I've also said before is I'm not entirely sure I would have come out when I did if it wasn't for him. It was, if I'm going to fight him, I'm going to fight him as myself, you know.
mhm. Well, good for you. Definitely.
So, um, I do have, well, I have the thank you because everybody gets a thank you for something. Coming out coming out as a trans ally, an LGBTQ ally in general, in with the force you did, was something that was very important to a lot of us, because there was times this last year, especially when we were floundering, and having somebody just say, "You're all right," is huge.
Well,
So
thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I still need work in that area as well. I mean, I'm not. I don't know as much as I'd like to know about LGBT issues, but I do try to do what I do to do the right thing. Sometimes I fail and sometimes I don't, but I
yeah,
definitely want. It's important to me that that my channel is seen as somewhere that's safe for LGBT creators and just viewers to be, and know that I'm not going to attack them on purpose. Like I'm not going to be anti-LGBT just because it's popular.
yeah, and right now it's popular to say you're pro LGBTQ and to totally wreck on the trans. So
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it is easier to defend gay rights, for example, but yeah, definitely trans rights are not. It's more popular to beat up on them, especially with all the, like I said, like the old guard and all that, doing the Riley Dennis, those kinds of response videos that are just you know there's only one gender or two genders and that kind of crap. So
yeah, it's well, Riley and Jackson have done immense amounts, and I know Natalie's in the doghouse right now, but by golly, she's done a lot for the movement, so I'm not going to rag on her.
yeah.
Although I love my NB folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very complicated interchange in the trans community, which if you're not in it, it's yes, learn about it by all means, but we don't get everything right either, and nobody expects. Everybody's human. It's one of those things.
Yeah, yeah, and I know I've never had any issues. Like I've had, um, I tend to like try to listen to criticism. Like I had, this is like a whole different area, but I did have like criticism on my last video about, for example, that there was words going on while I was talking and it was distracting and they couldn't pay attention to what I was saying and read at the same time. And
Right.
so that's, to me, that's good criticism, because I can, next video I can think next time that there's a clip that has writing in it, don't use it, use something else. And it's kind of like that with everything, right? Like if it's trans
Yeah.
rights or anything like that, there's a lot that I need to learn, and I try to listen to the people that watch my videos. And I also watch a lot of content from trans creators and stuff like that to try to learn stuff, because it's a kind of a weird spot, because I don't want to ask people, because I have run into like people that say, well, it's not up to me to educate you. And stuff like that. So I try to like find other sources of education, but yeah, I'm always trying to grow in my knowledge there. And like I said, there's a lot of times where like if there's subjects in that sphere that if somebody was to ask me, I would just say I don't want to talk about it because I don't understand it fully. So it's not something I feel comfortable enough to do it. And I'm not going to push out misinformation and have that hurt the LGBT community. So.
Well, we know each other on Facebook, so I'm one of those who, if anybody asks a question in good faith, I'm right there for it.
Well, thanks.
So, by all means, I'm still learning about all this stuff myself. I've been slapped around once in a while for getting something wrong. But yeah, I actually kind of agree with the criticism on your last video, but I'm used to pausing and reading what's on the screen and then going back. So
yeah, there's like different people. Like I know, for example, my fiance can watch a movie and play on her phone at the same time, whereas I couldn't do that. Like as soon as I'm on my phone, if I'm answering a text or something, then I've missed that part of the movie basically. So it depends on how your brain works or whatever, but it's good criticism because if I want to make the video as accessible to as many people as possible, then it would be best not to have the words unless it's like a date or something. But I mean, like to have like constant words is bad. So yeah, that's totally good criticism.
Well, if I may, actually, I think your last video is perhaps my favorite of everything you've done. And I really have watched almost every video. When I went back to look at it, I was like, I've seen this.
Yeah.
and I do remember your coming out of hiatus video, which sounded very sad at the time. Are we gonna have sad GC now?
Yeah, it was a sad time for me. I actually thought quite hard about quitting YouTube and not doing any more videos. And so this was my way of not walking away, but at the same time staying. I knew that it would hurt my channel immensely, but I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that as I continue to put out that kind of content, I'll start attracting viewers that like that kind of content rather than just the atheist content. So, I mean, there's a lot, and I feel like I'm being mean to the core audience that I have that watch my stuff no matter what I put out. So to those people, I love you. but there are like people that are like, hey, we signed up for atheist content and we're not getting it. So we're just going to walk away. And that's fair. I totally understand that. But I just hope that at some point I start attracting a different audience that also wants to hear me talk about that kind of stuff and kind of go through that journey with me. So it might not happen. It might happen, but whatever it is, I'm just going to try to enjoy the ride.
Well, remember that just to bring Sean back into it, he got popular off his Cinema Sins is Terrible videos. That's not anywhere near where he is now.
Yeah.
So, you change. People either go along with it or they don't.
Yeah, I need the British accent though to make that work, I think.
Yeah. And the particular and peculiar wording, I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I did just hit one of the great milestones is I had to kick my first sub. I had to kick a sub off my channel yesterday. So
wow. Yeah.
Because he was just being awful.
Yeah, I try to. That's something I've always kind of struggled with since I've begun. Is that I don't know. I've always been a pretty big free speech person, and I like to leave the comments open to even people that are being crappy. And I'm not. This is in no way a criticism towards you because I think anybody's channel is theirs to run, and they should be able to run it the way they want to. So that's. That wasn't the point of it, but but I do struggle with that sometimes because I don't like it when I don't mind if they're criticizing me or they're like saying you're a cuck, but I don't like it when they go after people that are commenting and say, they might say, hey, I really enjoyed the video, thanks for making it, and then somebody comes along and goes, yeah, you liked it because you're a cuck or whatever. I don't like that as much because it's not really needed, and it seems like it's just a personal attack on somebody else. If they want to personally attack me, it's my channel. I'm the one that put out that video, and I've opened myself up to that, but I don't know. So I kind of struggle with that sometimes, but I just kind of leave them up. I leave up almost anything unless somebody's spamming comment over and over and over and over. I don't know if you've ever had that happen.
I've not yet, and
it's terrible.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, some of the bad milestones are also, you're at least reaching people.
Well, if it's overtly bad, like I have deleted some comments that are like over the top bad, like I don't know, like saying the N-word and kill all the N-words or something like that. You know what I mean? Like something that has no value whatsoever. It's not funny. It's not even funny in its absurdity. It's just flat out hateful. If I catch it, I will delete that kind of comment, but almost all of the comments, I'd say 99.999% of comments, I just leave up, even if they're terrible comments.
Oh, sure. I'm small enough I can still react, still try and engage that person regardless,
Yeah.
Although this person was Kevin Logan was on Friday, so this person was going after Kevin in such a way where it was getting very, very, very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, well, I think live streams are different too. Like I have no problem with creators that have like moderators that just kind of get rid of those kinds of people. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't usually do live streams very often, so I don't really know. Ever since I stopped doing Heath an Hour, I haven't really done it. I don't think I have done any since then, actually. To be honest.
No, well, I feel flattered. Although this is a recorded live stream instead of going up.
Yeah, well, I've done like talks with other people on their channels, but just not on my channel.
Ah, okay. I blocked my first person on Twitter yesterday too, which I really have a rule about not blocking people, and I'm really having to rethink that lately.
I don't mind blocking people.
I do, because I'll try and engage to the point where they'll block me.
Yeah.
People don't like to be talked to nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind blocking at all. I mute and block pretty liberally. I don't block people for just disagreeing with me. Like a lot of times they'll be like, well, I'm just disagreeing with you. I block them if they're just being annoying. Or if I tell them, hey, I need you to just go away right now. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And then they just keep talking to me. Then I just block them or mute them. So.
Well, as we were talking, I just got one of the messages are still coming in, and I got a message. Apparently one of my subs just called me a coward. So,
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to YouTube.
I'm somebody now. People have called me a coward and a cock. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I get called that pretty liberally about whenever I go after some right-wing person. They say, well, you're I don't understand how that's cowardly if you're doing it. I don't know. It's so weird to me, but whatever. I just kind of just ignore those comments. Or I read them, and then a lot of times I post them on Twitter because I find them funny, but
I should probably do that. It's the new stuff, the woo, especially the how people think about woo. I'm not getting the actual title right, I know, but that to me has been the more interesting. But if you see the page description on here, I talk about atheism, trans rights, or trans issues, psychology, and philosophy. So
yeah, I actually want to change my channel description and my Patreon description. But I always think about it, and then like right now, and then where I'm not able to do anything about it, and then by the time I am able to do something about it, I forget about it. So,
Well, is there anything when you were doing the woo? What it did anything stand out in a way you weren't expecting?
well, like the why beliefs matter
Yeah.
thing.
Sorry, that's the right title. I
Yeah,
got it
yeah.
wrong.
No, the woo one is Surus, I think. He does
Right.
like a doctor of woo or something. I don't know, something like that. But I don't know. I like them all. Like I found all of them interesting in their own way. Um, I really liked doing the Wendigo one because I've been a big fan of that myth for a long time. And I also
Yeah.
really enjoy Native American stories and stuff. I used to write for a blog, and I had Native American like activist who used to read my stuff all the time, and his name was Kavaka, and I
Mm-hmm.
had so many like really interesting conversations with him. So it's always from there. It's just kind of like been something that if I run into it, I find it interesting. But the witch one was very disturbing. How they,
Yes.
yeah, that was extremely disturbing, that one. But yeah, I like them all. They're all kind of neat little things. I still have to do the one on sorry, it wasn't witches, that was it. It was vampires. It was a vampires one that was disturbing. I still have to do my witch one, and I keep getting bugged about it from people because I said, yeah, I'm going to do this witch one, and I've done all of the research for it, but I just never got around to actually doing it. So maybe over my break when I'm on holidays for Christmas, I'll get around to doing that.
Yeah, and stupid me, I was thinking the vampire one too. It was in my head, and I just agreed with you on witches because.
Well, there was witchcraft in that video,
Yes.
So that's probably why both of us got it kind of mixed up in our head. But then I was like, oh, wait a second, no.
It's not. Yeah, some of the stuff is disturbing more than just surprising, but I do between. It may not look like it when I do these interviews, but I do, if I can, about 10 to 20 hours of research on people before I do the videos or do the interviews.
That's badass.
And if I can. There are some people who leave a very small footprint, and I just go, okay, well, I'll do what I can.
Yeah.
I figure if it's going to be a job, it's going to, I'm going to do it right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the point was going back and looking at your videos, and I like see three very distinct eras of them. And this last year is the thing that interests me the most.
Yeah, I find it too, and it's been like a real eye opener. But it's really brought me back a lot more joy to be doing YouTube than I've had in a long time, like probably a year or so. So
well, there you go. I should have turned off my phone. Sorry.
That's okay.
What will, just in the hypothetical, what would still get you to do a response video?
Something like the bar thing would. I think something that I don't know. Maybe if it's something that I've run across that I haven't either really addressed or I haven't thought about in the right way, or maybe they bring a different angle to that same topic that I didn't really think of it like that. Then maybe, or if I think it's like super harmful, and if they have a lot of subs, and I think that makes it to me even more harmful, then maybe I might. Or if I'm just like, I don't know, I kind of go through phases too. Like there's like, I definitely have the kind of personality type that gets like drawn into something, and then I start like doing it like crazy, and then at some point I just get like, nah, I'm kind of done doing this right now, I'm going to go back to doing something else. And I could see there being like maybe fits of that here and there, because sometimes I start like reading about religion or like doing stuff like that, and so I could see like one or two popping up here and there. But I think for the majority of my stuff, I really want to kind of move away from that kind of content and more do humanism and why beliefs of all kinds can be harmful or even positive in some ways, right? Like, I mean, there's some in those why belief matters that there's like parts of it that aren't that bad, right? Like you're like, meh, if they wanted to believe that, it's kind of cool. It's kind of weird, but
Sure. One of the I don't know whether to be embarrassed by it or not, because I'm actually rather proud of the work, but one of the tarot decks that's out there is something I designed way back when I was wooish. I know I don't look wooish, but
that's cool.
So yeah, the Wonderland Tarot is still selling very well, which
nice.
I when I will react to people who write me about it if they're not, tarot, they're not. But every single card is exactly how your future will be. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have the same personality type of just being, research. Okay, I'm done now. Let's do something else.
I get very bored very quickly. So
yeah,
it's the reason why I kind of do my job in social work, because when you are dealing with people, no day is going to be the exact same as another.
Right.
Whereas if I'm in a factory and I'm on a line, just say a factory line, it's pretty much the same thing every day. And once I learn whatever it is I need to learn to do that job, then I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. So yeah, so it kind of works out. So, and YouTube's kind of like that too, right? I mean, like YouTube, I could do the same content over and over, but I do have a choice, right? Like I can't say, hey, I don't want to do this content anymore. I can move on and do this other thing. So
absolutely.
It's maybe why this hobby is kind of stuck with me more than most others. So
well, I mean, I have two questions for you, so I'll go with this because you mentioned it right now. But do you consider it a hobby more than a job?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a hobby. I don't if I stopped doing YouTube right now, then I would still be okay, because I work 6 days a week at my regular job. And there was a point where I kind of considered doing YouTube and not doing, like, maybe cutting back to like part-time on my regular job. I'm glad I didn't do that, because I do feel like there's once it becomes your job, it becomes I kind of I used to be a ghostwriter, and I used to love writing. I used to love making short stories. I used to love doing all that kind of stuff. And then it became my job, and I stopped liking it as much. And now I don't do it anymore. So I think YouTube might have been like that if I started doing it and it wasn't something I could just do when I wanted to do it, but I had to do it as a job. Then I think I would burn out and I wouldn't want to do it anymore. But also another thing is, once there's a financial incentive, I mean, I already have some financial incentive, but I mean, when it's like my job and my like livelihood is riding on it, then now it can shape the way that you talk about certain subjects. And I don't want that to be the case, right? Like I want to be able to say, I think this is crap and this is why, without having to worry about, well, am I going to lose patrons? Because if I lose patrons, I won't be able to pay my rent this week. And that's not cool to me. So yeah, I definitely want to just keep it as a hobby, as something. And I also don't want to be like a centrist. Like I don't want to be the person that like kind of tries to ride that line so that they can pay their rent. You know what I mean? I want to be able to just talk about what I want in the way that I want to talk about it. And if people don't like it, then they can unsubscribe, and maybe I'll go down to 10 subscribers, but I'll still be paying my rent and I'll still be fine. You know?
Well, yeah. See, there's lots of, it's one of the things when I say I learned from a lot of the creators, and this is true, because how to approach everything about doing these videos and stuff is just, okay, find the thing you find fun, do that, switch it up once in a while, and do not take it as seriously as some people do. I have seen some people who I know have certain beliefs completely just shy away from saying the thing they want to say,
Mhm.
and I can't help but think it's just so they don't piss off their sub
Yeah,
base.
I agree. I think it is. Yeah, because I know creators that do that, that will like kind of ride the line or whatever and kind of hint at what they really believe, but at the same time not just say it because it leaves room for doubt, right? And then so they'll keep those subs that are like, I don't know. And I don't ever want to be that person. I don't like that idea at all.
No.
And yeah, that is definitely a huge pitfall. And I mean, it's not just, I mean, I get why they would do it, because if your rent is, reliant on that thing, then I could see definitely why that would be an issue, right?
Yes.
But it isn't for me, so I can just say what I want to say. And I think in a way that kind of makes me kind of dangerous, right? Because I can just I can just say whatever I want, and people, they don't know whether I'm going to say it or not, right? So,
Yes.
and that's fine. Like I like that. So I've never really gotten along well in groups of people. Like I'm not really a cliquey kind of person.
No, no, you're not. I mean, just your life on Twitter, for gosh sakes, has been one of constant surprise.
Yeah. And and like my views change and stuff like that, but I mean it's more like I don't know, I don't like having to do stuff because it might um I mean there is a value in trying to get your message across without pissing off certain people, because I think that helps reach people. But
Yeah,
and I do try to do that. Like I do try to word my videos in such a way that usually I mean, I let my sarcasm kind of shine through, but I mean, I try not to be overtly an a-hole, right? But
well,
at the same time, I definitely don't want to have it be that, like, I don't want this when I sit down to make a video, I don't want to have the thought go through my head, hey, if I say this and I'm gonna lose subs, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't want to have that happen. So
yeah, it's a strange balancing act. This isn't my money either, as you can tell. I mean, I'm a writer in real life, so
yeah.
I do have income from that, and I'm okay. This is not making in. Somebody bought me this mic, which is sweet, but
Well, I will say that I do take YouTube very seriously, in the sense that I know that I have a responsibility
yeah.
to try to put out as much correct information as I can, and so
Yes,
I try to do that. So I take it seriously in that way, but I don't take it. I try not to take it too seriously, in the sense that like I don't sit there and look for my like subs all the time and see like, oh, did I go up 5 subs today? Did I go down? Like to me, it's just like I'm just gonna make the content that I want to do. And I used to do that actually when I first started. I used to like pay way more attention to that. The only metric I really, really pay attention to now is watch time. Like I look at like for
yeah,
example, on my newest video, the watch time is like almost 3 minutes higher than every other video, like on average. And so that's huge. Like to me, that's like, well, I might not be getting as many views, but people are watching it longer. So that means it's way more valuable to them. So
yeah.
I like that. And so that's the kind of metric I kind of pay attention to now, whereas I don't pay as much attention to the rest of it.
The only thing I look at watch time for is while I'm going to be having on whomever I want to have on,
Mhm.
popular like you, or not popular, which I've had a few on, or completely unknown is fine too. I'm
Mhm.
going to talk. I'm going to talk to who interests me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So the only thing I look at watch time for is I realized I was going really long on my videos,
Mhm.
so I decided to cut down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I found when I was doing Heathen Hour that actually the hour was kind of a good marker for how long people would kind of like after an hour it would drop dramatically, right? So
Yeah. So how much do you want to talk about your real life? I really want to get into the ghostwriter thing, but I don't think we have time. So.
Oh, like ghostwriting, I did a lot of like ebooks and web content, and I did a lot of short stories, some of which I had published. Um, I won one award for a short story. Yeah, I really liked writing, and I liked it for the same reasons I like YouTube. Like I liked learning about different topics because like
Right.
people would say, "Hey, write this thing about this," and I knew nothing about it. I would say, "Okay," and then I would go do the research and I would learn about it and then do it. I got really good at making like the typical content that was like for weight loss or weightlifting or that kind of stuff. I got really good at doing that, but I did a lot of like uh, kind of like so, I want to call it self-help, but it's kind of like self-help stuff, uh, stuff like that. And I got big enough that I would was able to like hire writers that I
Oh,
could pass off jobs to and stuff. But then the 2008 crash happened, and most of my clients were American, so I
yeah.
lost all of that, and it got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore, and so I just stopped, and it left a really bad taste in my mouth. Like it's so bad that, like I said, I just can't. It felt like a huge failure. Like it felt like somebody had punched me in the face a few times, and and so I started to do other things and went back to school and did started doing social work, which I'm really glad for now. But I still have that kind of like bad taste in my mouth from like, so I just don't write. I guess where I write now is I write YouTube scripts, and I write I did write for a blog for a while on my own personal blog, and I also write. Right now, I'm starting to write my own D&D adventure, so I'm like building a world, and
Huh.
that takes some writing. But
Yeah, it does. If
yeah,
you do it right, of course it does.
yeah, I
the
spent all day building maps for it.
it's just one of the things I've never run into another person who had a short, any career in ghostwriting, because
Mhm.
that's one of I started out as a legal secretary, and in because that's the job I had or I could get, and wound up ghostwriting for several different companies for their manuals and stuff,
Yeah.
and I've never met anybody else who's done it. So
Yeah.
it's a peculiar skill to have.
Yeah, yeah. I used to like doing that. Like I did stuff for like car companies and stuff like that. Yeah, it's travel companies, um, lots of different stuff, and I liked it in the sense that it helped me learn a lot of stuff, and it was fun because it was freeing. I could be at home and do what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
But at the same time, at that point, it was just a bad time to like. I'd worked up the business for about a year, maybe almost 2 years, and to the point where I thought, okay, I'm stable enough now. I can quit my job and do this. And when I first started, it was going great, and then all of a sudden the crash happened. And I started having people message me say, "Hey, you know, we're just not making enough money. I can't. We can't afford to do this anymore," and all that kind of stuff. And then
oh yeah.
yeah, it just kind of like what like water out of the bottom of a and I got really depressed for probably 3 or 4 months and my relationship that I was in suffered because couldn't I just started to like do things like play video games and not pay attention to what was going on around me because I just wanted to get away from reality because reality sucks so much. um
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
luckily I crawled out of that hole, but
yeah, I stopped doing it once I started selling my own stuff, which was nice.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I still
The
want to actually do that. I want to write a one-shot campaign for D&D and then publish it and see if I can write that up. But who knows if that will ever happen?
Well, talk to me later. I know people.
All right, definitely.
the That's one of the perks of the way I've lived my life is I know people. I know a guy. I
Well,
mean,
I recently bought this Five Torches book, which is do you play D&D at all?
I haven't for years, but I love
Uh,
it, and I want to start doing it again.
oh well, you should definitely play with me. So fifth edition is the newest D&D, and the Five Torches is a book that's kind of like it kind of makes 5e. It's placed on top of 5e, but it makes it grittier and harder and more realistic in the sense that you can't get hit 50 times before you die.
Yeah,
um, and so it kind of like has like a first edition kind of feel to it, and I really like that. That's my kind of game. And I was talking to them on Twitter, and they gave me permission to like write one shots for um like for that system, as long as I didn't use their official logo. So that
cool.
would be pretty cool to kind of do that, because it would have
Yeah,
a niche, right? That it's only the people that would be playing five torches rather
yeah,
than 5e.
yeah. I mean, by all means, do. I'm a big proponent of if this is what you want to do, do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so am
I
I.
I
But
I never I never
unfortunately,
learned.
it costs money for that stuff. So
I've never learned how not to live like that.
yeah,
I mean, not in the bad way. It's there's
yeah,
some you want to do this, do it. That no, don't do that.
yeah,
I want to be a writer. I wanted to be a musician. That's what I am.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I definitely. The thing is, if I was to do something like that, I would want to make it as good as possible, and that would require a proofreader, b some art to go into
Yeah,
it, and all that stuff costs money, and I don't want to rip off artists that I might know. So, um, I mean, I could kickstart it and do like a Kickstarter campaign and do something like that. But I've just kind of like sleeping on it while I work on my regular channel and stuff.
well, yeah. I mean, if this is not the place you're going to find discouragement from doing anything.
Yeah,
Thankfully, I raised an artist, so I do pay him scale, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
do have one.
definitely.
Um, I do have one. I just go down the hall and knock on the door. um, the we should actually start wrapping it up. But what kind of social work do you do? Just if it's okay to ask.
Yeah, that's fine. I work with the deafblind, so my official title is intervener, and it's basically that I'm act as their eyes and ears and give them information, help them communicate with people who don't sign, help them plan out their days, come up with activities, all that neat stuff. Sometimes help them transition into their own home from like their parents' house, all that kind of stuff. So it's a varied position where I get to do lots of different kinds of things and meet lots of different cool people. Although right now I have two stable clients that I technically
Mm-hmm.
work with five, but I have two that I primarily work with, and they're both amazing and have great sense of humors, and I have a great time working with them. So
This
yeah.
is that is a necessary thing to do. Even in Canadian land, where the population is only 12, and just
Yeah.
sorry, I live in America land. United States landia.
Yeah.
Actually, I can see if I go up into the attic, I can see Canada from my attic.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
I live 5 minutes away, so the yeah, I'm right in Buffalo by the Peace Bridge. So
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, then you're not too far away from where I am.
so yeah, I have to get up there more. I like it better. Plus they now have a thing where you, with the United States being what it is, that you automatically get refugee status as a trans person.
Do you?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah, it's kind of funny.
Huh.
Um,
Well, if you ever make it up here,
oh, sorry.
sorry, if you ever make it up here, let me know. Maybe we can meet for a coffee or something.
I would absolutely love that. Well, we've actually hit the hour, so I'm gonna
Right.
keep to my my promise to the people not to go too long.
All right.
Well, I can talk to you for like a couple hours because I really enjoyed having you on. I have to do the YouTube prayer. Uh,
Fair enough.
um, if you liked what you saw, audience, please like button down there and subscribe. There's a bell next to it, which means you will probably get notifications when stuff is on. And there is a PayPal for one-time donations, but don't do that. Go to Patreon and pay me every month. That would be nice. I have to thank my first patron, Sash, because I got to do that once a month and it's time. That I thank him all the time, or thank them all the time anyway. So, Mike Godless Cranium can be found. The link will be down in the description. Although you probably know him, for gosh sakes, one of the best YouTubers out there for intellectual content. Thank you for coming on. I
Thank you.
really appreciated it.
Thank you for having me. Anytime.
Absolutely. You're going back on the list, so I'll be calling on you again at some point.
All right. No problem.
All right. Let me hit the stop button, and everybody remember, your life matters, your words matter, and you matter. And thank you for watching.